Oh, we gon' fuck out the world, excuse me, but it's not your girl. This is a video, about the new album from Vince Staples called Dark Times. This album came out last Friday, 8 days ago, while I was on vacation, which is why I'm late. I apologize dearly to anybody who was waiting patiently for this review. And I listened to it, and I really wanted to listen to it a few more times just so I could have a really good and really well-formed opinion on it. Because this is a pretty interesting album in terms of everything it's got going for it and how long we've had to wait since Vince's last album, just over 2 years, I think. And so I didn't want to just do a half-ass review for this and kind of give very little criticism, because I respect Vince as an artist in a lot of ways. I mean, obviously, I like some of the stuff he's done. He's worked with Tyler. He's worked with Earl Sweatshirt, a lot of guys I like. I've never been a huge fan of Vince, though. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say, oh, I'm like a huge Vince fan. I think he's a good rapper. I've never really loved anything he's done. I think I really liked The Big Fish Theory, which came out a while ago. But I will have to revisit that, because I don't know if I exactly loved it so much. I thought it was his best effort. And so coming into this album, I was like, yeah, it'll be interesting. I heard it was in a release, and I wasn't like disgusted by it, and so I was interested. I'm definitely gonna give that a listen. And so I heard it, and I'm ready to talk about it, because I think the new direction he took is kind of interesting. I mean, it's not insanely different music from any other Vince album, but it's definitely different. This is very unique for Vince in ways. It's more reflective. I feel like kind of like how he did on Ramona Park Broke My Heart, even though I didn't really like that album. But he stays with that. He goes a little bit more reflective, and like the title and the album cover would suggest, it's more somber-ish. It is definitely more deadpan in the inflections everywhere across the album. And with that, all the performances kind of lose a lot of their for me. I can't really like them as much as other things from Vince that I've liked, but I can get down with some of the concepts of some songs that were more lyrically reflective and talking about himself, like the song Radio, in quotes, where on the first half of the song he just kind of talks about his listening to music as a kid and what he would hear on the radio. And I think that's pretty interesting, because he like name drops a couple radio stations, which I think is just a really neat idea. And then on the second half, he talks about a story between him and a girl, which he does a couple times on this album, which is I think is cool. But just in the way he does it, it doesn't sound too great. He sounds kind of uninspired, in my opinion, just in the way he's delivering it. And his amount of energy doesn't really match the beat's amount of energy, if that makes sense. I kind of compared this to some rap songs by Earl Sweatshirt, because this takes away a lot of the real hard-hitting power from Vince, like I said, that I liked, in the same way that some rap songs did, because that was a much more subdued and low-key album that wasn't hard-hitting at all, really, except for maybe 2 songs. And I don't want to say it's a bad thing. I mean, it's not that I hate this album or anything. It's not my favorite Vince Staples album, I'll say that much. I think it's about par for the course with Vince as far as he goes, in the way I've seen it and the way I've listened to him. Just because it's not crazy, it's not really impressive to me at all, which is fine. I don't think really Vince cares, which is part of it, I guess. But I think there was ability to make a better album here. Like, some of the beats showed a lot of promise, like on Government Cheese and Nothing Matters, with the latter being one of my favorite beats on this album, I think. And it showed like he could have done more there, and he just didn't grasp the opportunity all the way. Like, Nothing Matters, I thought that beat was great. There's like, I love the synth bass that's kind of in there, and then there's these really nice hard-hitting keys to go along with the kick, and I think that added a lot of power to the song. But like, it just feels like some part of it is missing. A total revamp of the vocals would have been nice. More power in his inflection, the way he's handling it, I just think could have been done better across this entire album. And like I said, according to this title and some of the way he's speaking on this album, it sounds like he's going through some hard shit, which happens, and that's real, and you make music about that. But I think he could have handled it a better way, like Earl did on I Don't Like Shit, I Don't Go Outside, which Vince Staples was featured on. He took his gut-wrenching heartbreak and depression, and he took that into a really powerful album that really hits you in the chest when you hear it. This one just kind of fell flat for me. And the other thing about it is, it doesn't even sound particularly sad or somber, and it's definitely not a happy, uplifting album. It just sounds kind of middle of the road in terms of emotions. Like, it didn't really strike you one way or the other, aside from like a couple songs. Like Black and Blue is my favorite song on this album because he sounds really lively there and he's expressing what he's feeling, but it's not amazing. I don't think anything on this album is really amazing. But yeah, I feel like some other people might really love this album and it'll be like their favorite album this summer, their favorite album this year. Oh my god, Vince Staples is so amazing. He's great. Have my kids Vince Staples. But like, it's weird. I don't know. It's like, it doesn't really hit it for me, which is totally fine because that's just my opinion in a sea of 8 billion people in this world. Which is cool. I'm glad Vince is still making music because he's never really been too mainstream. He's had some hits, really, and he's had some really powerful things going for him. But he's never really cracked that huge bull, and I don't think he ever will, because he's just not that kind of guy, I don't think. I know he had a show on Netflix recently. I didn't watch it. I've heard good things about it, though. I just hope he's doing good, but this album, not really my thing. I think this album's a 6 out of 10. I'm just not really a Vince kind of guy. I think it could use some improvement, but yeah. It's a good album.